Hey, what's up? Hello, my name is Emma and today I'm reviewing a very special book for you guys. And that book is called Every Last Word by Tamara. Stone. I was sent this book in exchange for a completely honest review, which is what you guys are getting today, and you're also getting it completely spoiler-free, so you don't have to read this book to watch the review. Right now, I'm just telling you guys how much I love this book and why I think you guys should read it. Now, just to give you guys a little synopsis as to what's going on in this book is about a girl named Samantha McAllister, and Samantha is basically your stereotypical, pretty popular, kind of mean girl in the past of high school. She's basically at the top of the social hierarchy in her high school, but she has this very big, deep secret that nobody else but her family knows about, and that is that she has purely obsessional OCD, or obsessive compulsive disorder. So Samantha's life is ruled by these intrusive thoughts that she absolutely cannot control, and so she's in a really bad place until one day she meets a new girl named Caroline, who she's gone to high school with apparently for a very long time but has never really noticed before. And Caroline becomes the first person that Samantha actually tells about her OCD, and right off the bat they become really good friends. And Caroline introduces Samantha into what is called Poets Corner, which is basically this little room under theater of their school where a group of like 9 misfits who don't really fit anywhere else into school go down, and every Monday and Wednesday or Monday and Thursday or whatever it is, they go down and they read poetry to each other. And it's just this really positive environment, and it's really what Samantha needs to deal with her OCD because she doesn't get it from this toxic friend group that she's in. And so this book is all about following Samantha's journey into finding herself, into overcoming her OCD, and there's a ton of stuff that goes on in this book that I think everyone can relate to. I've mentioned this on my channel quite a lot, but I am somebody who has suffered from various mental disorders, so naturally when I was given the opportunity to read a book about a mental disorder, especially one that we don't get to hear a lot about in books, I just grabbed at the chance. Honestly, I knew I would love this book from the start, but after finishing it, it took an amazing toll on me, and I thought I could love a book that was just randomly sent to me by an author so freaking much. Every Last Word absolutely gets 5 out of 5 stars from me. Honestly, it's like an 8 out of 5 stars because it was so good. It's honestly one of the best books I've read this year, or one of the best books I've ever read, and it has become so close to my heart in such a short period of time. So what I do for most of my reviews, whether they're book talks where I've chosen to review this book, or somebody sending me a book in exchange for a review, normally I will script them or write notes. I'm not doing that for this video. Because Every Last Word is so raw and emotional, I feel like that's really what this review needs to be. It just needs to be very raw and emotional, and I feel like that's the only way I can properly explain how good this book is and why you should read it. So while I'm going to spend a lot of time just telling you guys about what this book has done for me, I'm definitely going to tell you about a lot of the good things that happened in this book, and just basically my whole, general thoughts and review of it. To speak about the writing, I really love the writing style. It's very generic, and I do not mean that in a bad way whatsoever. It's just very similar to a lot of the YA that I've already read, so when I say it's generic, it's more like, I'm comfortable with this, I remember this is familiar, and I like it. We don't always need an overly poetic book. Sometimes just really good writing is all we need, and that's what Every Last Word has. Now, Samantha is probably one of the best protagonists I've ever read from, and that's because I see a lot of myself in her. Now, I haven't dealt with OCD myself. A lot of these symptoms of different mental disorders tend to cross over, so a lot of times when Samantha is talking about something like a panic attack, or even just getting your head locked on something, regardless of if it's OCD or not, I know what she's talking about, and it makes me feel better because I know somebody out there is doing the same thing that I am. So I think she's a very relatable character. I think the way that she grows and develops is very realistic, and realism, not something we get a lot of in YA, so it's definitely refreshing to have that. Samantha just goes through a lot of changes in this book, and her different experiences cause her to realize that who she thought she was in the beginning of the book, this popular high-maintenance girl, is not who she actually is. Even the smallest things, like her originally being called Samantha and then her at the end telling everyone to call her Sam, that is such a big thing to me, and you'll understand why in the book. But oh my gosh, she just goes through so much. It's one of the best character developments I've ever read, and I relate to her on such a personal level, and that's something I really appreciate in literature. As for Caroline, who is another very important character, Caroline is just the definition of purity and goodness. And it's really nice to have that kind of companion when Samantha is dealing with all these dark demons in her head. She really has that angel on her shoulder that is Caroline, who's bringing her through it. We have that friend group that in the book is referred to as the Crazy Eights, who's very toxic and manipulative, and they say they're loyal, but really they're just possessive, and they don't want anyone else in their group branching off and doing anything else that doesn't involve them. Then there's Caroline, who is just super supportive and encouraging and pushing Samantha to do the things that she wants to do, not what everyone else thinks that she has to do. And and that's what Samantha really needs. She's a huge reason as to why Samantha changes for the better, and I think it's really impossible not to love Caroline. She's just so cool. Like, she has all these awesome graphic tees, and she wears flannels and makeup, and she doesn't care what anyone else thinks about her. She's just super independent, and I just really love characters like that. Another character I really want to go into really quick, who you guys probably wouldn't expect me to talk about, is Sue, and Sue is Samantha's therapist or psychiatrist that she sees once a week. Now, Sue isn't really a main character in the book. She comes in definitely at a lot of different times, but I really love her character. She reminds me a lot of one of my old therapists who I wouldn't be here if I didn't have her. Something I really love about reading books about mental illness is when there is a psychiatrist involved, because the ways that they just take their patients' personal issues and make their treatment so personal is something that I really love, and that's something that I would hope to do in the future if I were to ever take on a job like that. She just always knows exactly what Samantha needs to do and needs to say, and when Samantha is not doing what she's supposed to, she's not, you know, scolding her or anything, she's still lifting her up and pushing her to do the right thing. So really, besides that nasty little friend group, Samantha is just surrounded by a bunch of really supporting, amazing characters, and they're a huge part as to why I love this book. Something I also love about this book is how informative and accurate it is about OCD. If you read in the acknowledgments, you'll know that the author herself, Tamara Stone, has not suffered from OCD, but somebody very close to her has. And so I think it's amazing that somebody who is just secondhandly suffering the effects of OCD can write it so accurately. It just amazes me. My sister had really bad OCD when she was younger, so a lot of the things Samantha goes through I've suffered secondhand, like Tamara has. But the way that it's just portrayed through the book is like amazing, and I'm really surprised that she didn't go through it herself. And as somebody who loves books about mental disorders and is really such an advocate for their feelings and the rights of those individuals, I'm really happy to say that this book is totally an accurate representation of OCD. What Samantha suffers from is not your very stereotypical OCD. When you hear the word OCD, I feel like a lot of people just think of people compulsively washing their hands or turning on and off lights like 3 times or jumping in and out of rooms. Those are all compulsions, and Samantha doesn't really have a lot of those. It's more the thoughts or the purely obsessional part that Samantha is dealing with. And in the books, it's really clearly stated when Samantha just really latches onto something and she can't get away from these thoughts. You know, when Samantha is totally focused on something and she's having all those obsessional thoughts, I feel that way too, and it's like that's the only thing I can think about too, and that's super powerful to me. Samantha also has this thing with the number 3, which a lot of people who suffer from OCD have a thing with numbers, and it's usually the number 3. While I love the things that Tamara include about the number 3, like she can't park unless the odometer is stopped at 3, and she'll bite her lip 3 times, or she'll scratch her neck 3 times, or whatever it is. These chapters are actually titled in this book, which is also a really great thing that I appreciate. Because we don't get a lot of that in YA. Each title is 3 letters long, and as you read the book, you'll notice that there are three things all the time, and it's great. Samantha makes a lot of playlists throughout the book because she loves music, and each of her playlists is titled with 3 words like the chapters. That number 3 is just everywhere in the book, and I really appreciate that. Now, even though anyone who has actually read this book already is going to be like, Emma, don't talk about the ending, I just have to mention it really quickly. As I was reading this book, I didn't really think that there was going to be anything big in it. You know, I thought it was just going to be your stereotypical contemporary where everything just gets resolved in the end and everyone lives happily ever after. The ending is just totally unexpected, and it completely took me off guard to the point where I was just hysterically crying at my desk at work because I didn't know what to do with the information that I was just handed. All I can say is prepare to have your minds blown while you read this book, because I can guarantee you it's gonna happen. I think that's really all I want to say about the content of the book. Basically, it is just a really heartwarming story about a girl finding herself and dealing with her inner demons and learning to express herself and break away from the parts of her life that she's been trying to for so long. It's really like a feel-good book. So if you're feeling very unmotivated in life and you know you don't really know what path you want to take, Every Last Word is totally going to set you on that right path, because it has done that for me. When reading a book about a character who goes through so much development and change, it's basically impossible not to transfer those thoughts and wants onto yourself. This book made me reflect a lot of myself as in the person who I want to be and the steps I need to become that person. I feel like I've learned a lot about who I am through Sam. A lot of the little habits she does, regardless of her OCD or not, are a lot of the things that I do and that I think made me crazy, and just seeing her do them and her deal with them and knowing that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, it really makes a difference on me, and it makes me feel more normal. Because that's something Samantha is very concerned with in the book. She's concerned with finally being able to be normal and not having this OCD and being able to just think like a proper human being in her mind, and according to her, she can't do that. But through the course of the book, you realize that that's not what's really important in life. It's not about being normal, it's about being yourself. and this book has definitely helped me to be myself. This book has really just empowered me to make a change in my life and to do the things that I've been wanting to do but never really thought that I could do, and the fact that a piece of literature can do that is just really amazing to me and makes that book really special. I just feel like it has done so much for me, and you know, it's so hard for me to put it into words because it's so personal, and that's what this book is. This book is so personal, and I know that whoever reads it is going to find something relatable in it, and it's really going to change them in the way that it's changed me. Anyone who's a reader knows how much a book can change you, and even though this is fiction, and then these situations are fictional, and that these characters aren't real, they're so real to me because it's basically me in a book. That's what it feels like, and I know I'm not going to feel alone in this. And while I'm just getting really emotional and choked up just thinking about the path that this book has put me on and how it's really made me reflect on my life, I just really want to say that you guys need to pick up this book. This book is amazing, it's inspiring, and it's life-changing, and I really think everyone needs to give it a shot. So that is really all I have to say on Every Last Word by Tamara Ireland Stone. You know, I just think that everyone's really going to find a home in this book. Like, Samantha found a home in Caroline, and she found a home in Sue, and she found a home in Poet's Corner. Books like this are super important, and they don't come around very often, so I really recommend all of you pick up this book. But that's it for this review. Please let me know in the comments what you guys thought of it. If anyone has read it, please tell me below, because that ending man really got to talk about it and nobody to talk about it with. Let me know anything you've heard about Every Last Word, or if this review has made you want to read it, if you want to read it anyways. Just leave me something in the comments below so that I know I'm not just talking to a camera. But that's it for this video, and I will see you guys soon for a new one. Bye!